all the words will be going this way. All right, and we are actually for real back. And we have people joining us. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so as you guys join us, I think, okay, what we were last talking about, I think it's important to be very specific. And I think our heart of what we're saying is that while we absolutely do not condone violence, I think there's a bigger issue if what upsets you is a storefront being defamed. Is that how you say it, defamed?
Defaced.
Defaced, thank you. If you care more.
And you're more vocal.
And you're more vocal
About that.
about a storefront being defaced
Versus police brutality.
versus police brutality, that is an issue. Does that make sense? We are not here for violence. No one is saying go, absolutely not. What we are saying is pay attention to people that are more in an uproar and an outrage that a storefront was defaced than they are about lives being taken, innocent lives being taken.
Handbags being looted over bodies being looted.
That's it. That's it. You gotta care more about the life than you care about a pretty sidewalk. That's all. So I'm glad we were able to,
We're done.
oh my God, somebody said your kids are gonna look back at this and be so proud of you all. More importantly, it's about our kids walking, talking, breathing, and being citizens for justice.
Yes.
And safe.
And that the next generation can feel safe walking around. I kind of wanted to throw this to my parents. Sorry. Okay, Claude, you want to come around this way with us?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to my parents about this because obviously, since it is systemic racism, and it's been going on for generations and generations, I was curious how systemic racism has affected my parents. I wanted to specifically talk to my papa about it because he shared with us the other day something that he even experienced. And this is someone that fought for our country. Sorry, I'm gonna brag on you. I'll be your PR person for a second. But this is a Vietnam veteran who has earned 2 Purple Hearts?
2 Purple Hearts.
2, I only thought 1.
Just one.
Just 1. He has Purple Hearts and
15.
15 Purple Hearts in my heart. And was a Marine and still is a Marine, right? Marine mentality always, forever.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
And I kind of want to even speak on his experience with racism and more so, how do we break that systemic racism? How do we break it from generation to generation? Why is it that I was raised completely different than they were raised, and our children will be raised completely different than I was? Does that make sense? How it's important that from generation to generation we get better. We should get better. We should be more. Our hearts should grow
Yes,
every generation.
Yeah.
So go for it, Papa. It's for you to speak. Again, this is super casual. These are just like the conversations that
Just
we've
talk
had.
to us. You don't have to worry about
Yeah.
the camera.
Well, you know, as a Puerto Rican born in Puerto Rico, the first thing I have to say, which a lot of people don't know, don't realize, don't remember, or whatever, it was never in the history books. If you are born in Puerto Rico and you are a permanent resident of Puerto Rico, you know, Puerto Ricans that live on the island cannot vote for president of the United States. But yet they can be drafted into the US military.
Say that again. You can't vote, but you fight for our freedom.
We fight for our country. We're American, and we're considered American citizens.
Yes.
You know, but yet if you have permanent residency and you were born in Puerto Rico and you live there, you cannot vote for the president of the United States. Now, as a Puerto Rican living here in the United States, I can vote for president of the United States. But if you live there and you were born there and that's your permanent residence, you cannot. And yet for years and years and years, you know, I went back on my genealogy to my great uncles, to my grandfather, great grandfather, and I was able to see their draft cards for World War II.
Wow.
You know, they were all drafted into the war. My father was drafted into the war. And so, and they were living there. They were permanent residents of Puerto Rico, but yet they were drafted into the military and they had to serve. But one of the things that hit me hard the other day was, I forgot who it was, said that the systemic racism is in every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In every aspect.
In every
In
aspect.
every aspect, whether it's business or medical or whatever it is.
Education,
Social
government,
security.
entertainment, all of it.
Exactly, and I know that racism has always been a big factor in the military. But
Speak
the
on
other
it,
day
Papa.
when I heard that the U.S. military might be called in to quell whatever is going
First
on within
Amendment
this
rights.
country, all the
First Amendment rights, the peaceful
E-
protesting.
exactly. It struck a chord and it brought back memories of the time that I was in Vietnam. I was in Vietnam from '67 to the end of '68. I did 2 tours over there, and one of the things that as a Marine, and I'm sure the Army feels the same way, and whatever, the Air Force and Navy, you're fighting, and whatever the cause may be, you're in the military, you're in a state of war with another country or whatever, and so, you're more protecting the guy that's next to you, in front of you and behind you, than you are fighting for whatever the cause is, because the cause may be some
It's a
crazy...
greater cause, yeah.
A greater cause, but you as a soldier, you're fighting to survive, make it home, and make sure that the guy next to you survives and makes it home. And I was there during one of the fiercest, or the fiercest fighting period of the War of Vietnam, which was the Tet Offensive. It started in January of 1968, and the phase 1 of the Tet Offensive ended on March 28th, which happens to be my birthday. So there was a lull in the war, and then we came into April, and in April of '68,
April 4th.
April 4th, 1968, we got the news that Martin Luther King had been assassinated. So, and that's what, when I heard that the U.S. military is being called in to quell internal United States affairs, the U.S. military was instituted to fight external enemies.
Yeah.
That's right.
Within the country, you have your law enforcement and you have your National Guard, But the U.S. active military is supposed to be enforced to fight against foreign enemies
Correct.
outside of this country. And so when Martin Luther King Jr. got assassinated, we were out there on patrol, fighting a war. There was a small lull after March 28th and into the end of April. And, we got word from white brothers who were fighting alongside us.
Who were allies to you.
Who were allies to our cause, who
People of
were not
color.
racist within the military, let's put it
Straight
that way.
up.
And the thing is, as a Marine, and this happened in the battalion, Marine battalion that I was in, I won't speak for the rest of the military, but the word came down from the higher-ups within the battalion that because of the Martin Luther King assassination, all white soldiers, white Marines,
Listen up.
needed to lock and load and be on the lookout for any rioting or uprising by Black
and brown.
and Latino and brown Marines that might be upset because of the news that they have gotten of the assassination of Martin Luther King. And here, we were all together fighting a war, and we just wanted to survive. We were protecting each other's back, and now.
Now you're
You have to
a
look
Marine
out.
enemy.
Now we gotta look out for the guy next to us, or the guy behind us, or the guy ahead of us, because they got these orders, and some of them might react to it in a way that they felt, if they saw us gathering together as a group of black and
They even
Hispanics.
thought that
think
you
they
would be
even-
uprising
I
or that
think
you may
that
retaliate.
I think
They were ready to take them out.
They deliberately wanted to break that trust, right?
Yeah.
That they had between that brotherhood, and that's
Right. Fortunately, again, in our battalion, I don't know about any other battalion, Marine battalion or Army or whatever, the bond that we had prevailed. Prevailed.
That's amazing.
But
So just having those conversations in your home, everybody has experienced racism to some extent. And it's about being vocal, sharing those stories with your children, sharing how these things may affect them and that they feel comfortable coming and telling you if they've experienced racism for themselves.
Exactly.
I saw somebody up here speaking up about colorism and racism amongst the Latino community. And I asked we literally just had this conversation yesterday. We were sitting around this table and I asked my mom point blank period, I see so much of this, I hear so much of this, it exists on so many levels. And I just asked my mom, why don't you think that way? Why didn't you raise us that way? What was your experience growing up that I, as a Latina, okay, and I'm not just, it's important to clarify, I'm not just Latina, I'm Latina, half Ecuadorian, half Puerto Rican. My mother is a Caribbean Latina who has constantly made it very clear to me and has always made it something that we should celebrate was our African roots and our African heritage. I have family members of all different shades, and we celebrate that. Hello, in our own family, growing up, people not only didn't believe me and Claudette were sisters, they didn't even think we were the same race.
But Nilda is an outlier.
No, speak on that.
No,
Jerk.
Nilda, you speak on it.
Why
First
are-
of all, I'd like you to address Adrienne's question about your views and how you raised your girls, but I'd also like you to speak about what you've observed, within your family, within your community. She's okay.
I was like, ouch.
As it relates to colorism and racism within
Absolutely.
the Latino community.
so. I think everybody knows I was raised in the Lower East Side of New York, and I was born in '53. You figure out the age. But we didn't see, in my community, we really didn't see color. As a Puerto Rican, in my family, my mom was a child of one of 10 children. And my uncles, my mother was very fair, and my Aunt Gloria.
And her brother was
and my
Papa's
brother
color.
was her brother.
My grandmother
uncle.
was see-through, and
Yeah.
her brother was Papa's color.
So we didn't see those differences that I can remember. They were never like spoken about, like, oh, he's not good or
Really?
he's a-
Because that's super popular. There's the conversations of el pelo malo. Like, I've
heard it
heard
in my family.
all of it.
Right.
I've heard all of it.
So, however,
in our home, but from others.
however, and with going back generations of what my mother was taught, even though her father was very dark, he was real like a Taino Indian color. I think that they really, in their mind, it was so important for them to be European. It was more
Listen
important
to this.
for them to claim their Spaniard blood in them, which we do also carry. We're not going to put that, we're not going to trash that. But the African blood that we also carry in our veins
kinda like-
was not talked about. And again, you talk about what they were taught in school, what their
It's
families,
systemic. It's systemic.
And-
it comes from the system.
and also in Puerto Rico, like with his uncle was killed in a battle because he was African. He came off of the boat, and they rebelled against owners of a plantation. So what I'm trying to say is,
Wow.
like, I somehow,
Great.
I don't know how, to be honest, I was able to take all those things in my mind and sought them out. And even though my mom really didn't sit down and teach me this, something inside of me was, everyone here is equal. We have to love who we are and where we come from. And again, because I was raised in this neighborhood where the Black mama was my mama out in the street. She looked out for me, and my mom looked out for her kids. And my Black friends from school would help my mother up the elevator or up the stairs with the grocery stores, with the groceries.
And even that is so different from.
There wasn't this. Also, I have to tell you that we didn't really, when I was growing up, we didn't have a television. So the news that was coming to us of the rioting and everything that was going on,
During
or the
the civil rights?
demonstrations, was very minimal for us. So we weren't really
Privy to it like
right,
that.
exactly. But as far as like what Jared said, why did I feel, I just saw through the eyes of what I felt inside my heart. And this is what I wanted to teach my children. I never once told my kids, you have to bring in a Latino boyfriend here to this house, or you got to bring a white or a Jewish.
Which
Never,
clearly
ever, at all.
neither of us did.
Never did, because I value life.
Yeah.
And you value history, and you value who you are, and where you come from, and you take all that beautiful information and just grasp it and be proud of it. And that's what I wanted to teach my kids.
I have to say, Mom, you have really done a phenomenal job.
I thank
I have to say, I feel, and I will say this, and I think it's okay to say that you genuinely feel a connection to your African roots and your African
do.
heritage. She naturally does, and we felt that.
I did.
We saw her celebrate it, and again, I think it's so important for parents. I'm not a parent, but I'm someone's child, and as the child that experienced watching how my mother spoke about Black people, I remember you saying, "Oh, she don't even know what I'm about to say." It's stuff like this that you got to pay attention to that you say. It wasn't even a conversation of race. I remember we were watching the MTV Music Awards, and artists kept getting up. This is so random. But it's a dumb example, but it's just significant to me. And I will never forget, people were getting up and winning awards, rappers, and their song could be the most ratchet song with mad curse words in it, vulgar on all levels. And they literally would get up be in there and be like, first and foremost, I want to thank my Lord Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
And instead of my mom watching that and going, oh, these people, or whatever, because I know other people can have that reaction, she goes, let me tell you something. Heaven is going to be filled with Black people.
I always say
And she literally said, heaven is going to be filled with Black people. She said, they don't care what they do. I don't care what they sing about, but they always give honor and glory to the Lord.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that exact same situation and what is the opposite that could be said by someone else watching that same show, that they could say around their children, and what is the messaging that they can place. It's a very stupid example, but it is still,
It's a great example.
It's a great
instead of seeing the negative in it and going, oh, that song, to the windows, to the walls, to the what? Like, ugh, right? You could either find the negative in it, or you could look at a group of people and find the beauty and find the positive and point that out to your children and point that out and be like, psh, but they give honor and glory to the Lord. And it's stupid, but I was like, and that's how I viewed it.
But it's all education, right? And it's
Yeah.
all listening.
Yeah.
Because, again,
There's a lot of
when
it
I
is
was-
from ignorance.
It's all love, too.
Yes.
Right? If you lead with love.
I get, and I'm honest, when rapping came out and all the cursing and all that kind of stuff, it struck me in the beginning. I'm like, why are they're saying all these words? But you know
It's a
what?
different generation.
I started, when I married 23 years ago, when I got married to you, he loves rap. Always has. What's your favorite group? Public enemy.
See
Public
this?
enemy.
So I couldn't
Fight
understand
the
a lot of
power.
the things, although they didn't really curse a lot, but there were a lot of things, and then all the rappers that came after, they were, but something, I sat down and I really started to think about, they're using these words, but what is it exactly that they're saying? There was a message behind the cursing. Right?
So, but even the fact that that's how your mindset works. I want to talk to the mindset. Instead of automatically going, this is not good. Why is it that you think that way? That you think, let me hear what they're saying. Let me be, you know what that is? That's a spirit of empathy. Mom, you are an empathetic person. And Jeannie Mai said this on The Reel, and I really love this. She said, our world would be so different if we all would just have some empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy, man, we need to pray a shower of empathy come down on all of us and empathize. And instead of automatically going and
Yeah, but.
attacking and go to empathy. Go to why. Let me hear them. Let me hear them out. Let me not just hear them with my ears, but hear them with my heart.
And this is why we're having this conversation in a multi-generational way.
Yeah.
You can hear the innocence of Jet and Bo and their experience, and then you can hear the history and the layered pain and experience of Papa and Mama Nilda. And I asked Mama the other day, I said, can I ask you a question, Ma? Like, when you look at these riots on TV, when you look at, the footage of what's happening, has anything, these were teenagers in the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything really heavily different than what you saw then? And it's a sad answer to have to go, no, I don't see any difference. And matter of fact, like when in '92, when the Rodney King beatings happened and all of the riots took place, we used to think, this is before Black Lives Matter became a movement and all this. We used to think people just didn't know. Like they just didn't know the struggle. They didn't know the nuance of it. They didn't know the history of it. They didn't know that this was systemic going back 4 and 5 and 8 and 900 years, as Claude pointed out, from Eurocentric history. Then after the Rodney King beatings, we've come to discover people just don't care. It's not that they don't know, it's that they don't care. And I have such a hard time when 9/11 happens and everybody becomes American suddenly, and we're singing God Bless America on the steps of the Capitol, and we're going, okay, we're all connected now. And then give it time, it all divides again. And here we are in an opportunity to really come together, and we're still hit with, I know you say Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. Yeah, but. And I keep trying to say, okay, if you have a problem with the tone of it, the skin tone of it, and you really are struggling with this, go back to what Jerd, a very, very smart man, said. This is about injustice versus justice.
Correct. And
Period.
educate yourself. And at this point, you don't have the excuse anymore. And I think that's why it was so important for all things Adrienne to participate in Blackout Tuesday, because the concept of it was, don't come here, the little things I gotta tell you on it. Don't check out my selfie on Instagram. Don't be distracted by what's on sale. No, that was for you to take a second there and educate yourself. To take a moment, and if you don't understand, that was your day to, instead of binge watching all things Adrienne, that was your day to educate yourself, to find out more, to research, to empathize, to hear, to listen to other people's stories. And I just thought that was really important. That's why we didn't do this yesterday and why we're doing it today. But in speaking to the generations, like Israel said, I thanked my mom yesterday. Like I literally was in tears yesterday thanking her for breaking a generational curse.
Cycle, yeah.
And today, each and every one of us has an opportunity to break that generational, that systemic racial injustice. We have that opportunity to break it in our families, to break it in our group of friends, to break it in our homes, to break it in raising our children, to however it is that you can come against racial injustice, do something.
Yes.
Do something. Bring up the conversations. Let's keep it real. We all know somebody racist.
Yeah.
It's a coworker, it's an auntie, and again, some of it is in pure ignorance. Some of it. But guess what? Now you don't have that excuse anymore. And you certainly don't have that excuse when you're having the conversations. When I've talked to you about it, when I've shared with you, when I've shared my heart with you, when I've shared with you what lays heavy on my mind, when I've corrected you, when I've taught you, you understand? So then we can't blame the ignorance. Oh, they just didn't know.
No.
Well, guess what? Them not knowing now becomes your fault as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Them not knowing now becomes your fault as well. Because if they didn't know, now I'm turning the finger back on you and saying, why didn't you talk to them about that? Why didn't you check that comment and say, nah, we don't do that. We don't do that here. Tell your children, you hear them making fun of us. No. That is unacceptable, and we don't do that in this home. In this home, we love people. In this home, we are for justice. In this home, we do not tolerate racial injustice. So I thanked my mom for that. I said, thank you, because we benefited from that. Our children will benefit from it.
And I benefited from it.
And there we go. And so on and so on and so on.
Same.
So I want to let you guys know that I know this was 3 separate different lives. I'm going to attempt to have us edit it all together and put it up as one post. But I also want to, in the description below, I want to provide you with ways that you can help. I know so many of us, the first things first, I think the first way you can help is, again, having the conversation in your home, talking to your children, raising up a different generation, recognizing the racial injustice, recognizing it, having empathy. And on top of that, we're also gonna put here some websites that can help you find information, find different ways that you can support your Black community, find ways that you can support Black business owners. There's so much to it that we can't, obviously, we'd be sitting here for days and days, and we'll do more of this. But I love you guys. I'm grateful for people that tuned in, because guess what? I said what this was gonna be on my Instagram, and the fact that over 3,000 of you joined us for this conversation. I'm just looking at what's up there now, and it's been more than that, but says that you're willing to open your eyes, open your mind, and open your heart to the conversation. So I pray that when we finish this, that you gather around with your family, have your own internal conversations, search your heart, search your mind, and again, we will provide you with different ways that you can not just pray, but I think it's important that we put action behind our faith. Faith in action is so important, that we take action. So I will provide you with those things. We just wanted to end it with a little song.
A little song, kind of a prayer. I
It's a prayer, yeah.
I almost want Mommy to set this up, because we were talking this morning, back to the generational blessing part of this, right? Mommy was talking about Tita.
Yeah.
And how
My
she
grandma.
would pray. How did you explain to Mom? Because it was so great, and how you took that on.
Yeah, so a few months ago when this song came on the air, in Elevation, it hit me. And even talking about it, I get emotional, because I remember my mother always praying at the end of her prayer, always praying for her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, and the generations to come after. And I always, you don't pay that much attention when you're growing up, the generations to come after. You don't put it together. After you become a parent, you kind of now see it, right? You kind of like now understand it. And that's what I believe today. That's part of my prayer. It's been part of our prayer for the past 23 years. And I always prayed for my kids and for their husbands when they were little. I always did,
And here we are. Careful what you pray for.
But I started praying, and I remember the first time that I started to pray for the generations to come after them. And I would pray for my kids, grandkids, and the generations to come after, and those after and after. So that when this song came about, that I first heard it just hit me. And I said, that's why, as a family, I believe, my mother's prayers for the generations to come after covered us. they've covered us.
And what
I
we do
really,
in this generation will affect
The
the
next.
next,
and the
but we
next
have
and
to
the
Jet and
pray.
Bo's kids and
Yeah,
husbands.
but we have to pray ahead and ahead for that covering over them, and never forget that.
That the prayer will set your intention for action as well.
Exactly,
So you're doing as you're praying.
exactly. Yeah.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Singing amen, 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 amen. Oh, amen, amen, amen.
His favor be upon you and the 1,000 generations and your family and your children. I can't even say that.
And the children, may his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations and your family and your children and their children and their children. Sing it again. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you, he is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, in your reaping and rejoicing. He is for you, 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 he is for you. Amen. 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 God, we speak to every family today. Speak peace to every family, every household, every child of God. Oh God, if we've ever needed you before, we sure do need you now. We sure do need you now. We pray for our nation today, God. Let your favor be upon us. Let your favor and protection be upon us. Every life, every child, every black life, God. Oh, comfort and keep us, protect us, Jesus. We pray, and we pray, and we say, Amen. Amen.
love you guys so much. Thank you for joining us. Later on today, Israel is doing Worship Wednesday. We do that as a family as well. We love you guys and we hope to see you there. Be safe.
Thank you, guys.
Black Lives Matter.